Hey everybody, Jimmy here from the sales stage with my co-host Reva. Um, Join the quick vodcast today because we talk all things hiring. Well, to be quite frank, not all things hiring. We talk a lot about hiring, the science behind it, different strategies to look for. We go over some wonderful feedback from our base, mostly on how good Nate Manning was and nothing about us, but I digress. So please join us. It's going to be a fun conversation, and we are really looking forward to hearing some of the comments from others who are in the sales field around hiring best practices. So thank you, and we will see you when you watch it. Oh, we're selling all the products and we're telling prospects what we got. Yeah, we're selling the next phase. We'll use lots of buzzwords. It's the next big craze. Jimmy and Reva show. Welcome to the sales stage. Sales stage.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Sales Stage. I think this is episode 4. And
Numero 4.
for our French speakers out there.
Okay, we gotta cater to them.
So last week we had our first ever guest. We had Nate Manning from Adobe. He leads one of the business development teams at Adobe. He's awesome. If you didn't get a chance to watch it, I don't know why you wouldn't, but go back, maybe watch it again. And we covered just thoughts on training and coaching teams and some changes we've had to make since moving to a remote setup. So shared some tips and changes we've made. It was a great time with Nate. But this week we are talking about hiring, which is, I think, another topic that Jimmy loves. We spend a lot of time doing it, or at least preparing for them. And
there's nothing higher than getting to hire. That's what nobody said ever.
Oh, that is terrible, but okay. But I think we have some fan mail.
Well, we can get into the fan mail, of course, but like how great was Nate? Like, that guy is a stand-up dude. I don't know if he came across. I thoroughly enjoyed like talking to him. I thought he had great insights. Like, he is just salt of the earth. He is a great guy.
I know, I agree. I met Nate working on a webinar with him, and I was like, I like this guy. Nice guy. Just a really nice guy.
And like that was in no way like a segue into our fan mail, but like I think that feeling was mutual. We have here Nate was fantastic. Great to see you, buddy. We had, wow, Nate, what insights. That's a guy I would love to work for. Nate is awesome.
Do you have anything, like, did anyone write about us?
No.
Okay.
So, I mean, overwhelming. The fans, we gave the fans what they want. And before, when I thought we had hit our Everest, I think we found a slightly higher peak. Nate was the Everest. I mean, we can probably retire.
Yeah, we can ask marketing, when is Nate coming back, I guess.
Yeah, but overall, he was awesome, and really enjoyed it. And I mean, we took some of our Air Jordan conversations offline too, which was super fun. And shared some sick pics of shoes that we loved. So
yeah, you included me in the email thread, and I could care less. So thank you.
Yeah, I mean, that was the first time I've had a coworker unsubscribe, but that happened.
Cool. Wow. Okay, let's talk about hiring. I just kind of put some questions or some ideas because I know that from working with you for so many years, I know I've gotten to learn that you, like, what your philosophy is around hiring. I actually really genuinely like hearing when you make me sit through like a 45-minute call to bounce ideas off me. And I'm like, this. I actually do like to hear the like thought process behind hiring, the reasons you ask your questions, the structure you have towards your hiring. I've learned a lot from it. So um, my like first question, and this actually comes from something on LinkedIn,
Mm-hmm.
not stirring the pot on it, just there was a pretty controversial post on LinkedIn about hiring fast, firing fast. And one piece that came up to it that I thought came up in it that I thought was interesting is the concept of, is hiring more scientific or more like artsy gut feeling? So like what's your take on, is it like a repeatable process where you can always get a great outcome if you really figure out your questions or your process, or is it more of a gut feeling? What's your thought there?
There's so many different thoughts, right? And I think this is kind of the hire fast, fire fast backlash that happened. Um, I think when it comes to hiring, each individual is going to have their own recipe for what they're looking for. That's going to vary based on the maturity of the company, where you are with regards to growth, what you're looking for, from a new team member. All of those things kind of factor into trying to find the right individual. Um, I think on that, like there's certainly an element of gut feel, right? And that's no different than first impressions when you meet somebody. That's your first impression of them. Um, and those impressions can change over time, right? So I think there's a few key things that I would look for, right off the bat to give my gut, like, how do I feel about this? If it's I feel great about it, I'm going to go down that path. If I don't, how can I give them the benefit of the doubt and start to understand certain things. Let me just turn Slack off here. Sorry, unprofessional.
The worst.
Unprofessional. Um, but again, I think there's a lot to it, right? And I think one thing that I think everybody has to keep in mind, and again, I know in talking with Sarah, um, from our HR and hiring talent team, um, what we all have to remember is everything that happens as part of an experience with for us with Vidyard, it's all part of the brand. It's all part of the brand experience, right? And I've interviewed lots of folks who didn't get the job but have transferable skills that I saw that I think would be very valuable for other areas within the business, or that I'm keeping in mind for when this comes up, right? And I think a big part of that is I try and keep everything uh, to a science to an extent where everyone goes through basically the same process, right? And the way that I ask questions is very similar, and try and keep it very conversational, but follow a very similar structure so that everyone's on an even playing field.
Mm-hmm.
And in doing that, what comes out of it, and this again is what I find, is the feedback that you can deliver isn't based on gut. The feedback is based on a baseline of how others in the past have answered these questions, what I like to see, why I ask certain things certain ways, and that tells you a lot about what to expect. So I know that was a bit of a long rambly answer, and we can kind of unpack or dig into other parts of that. But as far as the controversial post, one thing I will say in its defense, again, it's going to depend on where a company is within a growth model. If you're on a huge trajectory, you don't have the time or resources to be able to take advantage of the market opportunity if you're going slow. So you've got to kind of take a flyer, or people who have certain criteria you're going to hire, and unfortunately they aren't all going to be a perfect fit. And teams in general have to be able to mesh to get the most out of everyone within that team, and sometimes you can't get that out of an interview. So I'm going to be a bit of a fence sitter, because I think with more contacts or context, that could hold true. But again, that's up to everyone's process, and the process that you follow, and what you're looking for your team and for the company.
Yeah, I would say I'm on the same page as you in like fence sitting. I think something that I something I was told like at Eloqua when I used to sell there was like when I first came into sales, I felt like sales was super on the artsy side. Like every deal's different. How do these sales reps know how to navigate this deal? Like, what do you say when the prospect says this, and what do you say when the prospect says that? Like, it seems so like non-repeatable. But then as you get into it and you are trained by really great sales reps who have been there, you realize there is a science to this, and you believe this on your team. Like there's so much training that goes into execution. So there are these soft skills, in my opinion, that help a sales rep be excellent versus not, but all the sales reps on a team should have access to that same scientific approach to a deal. But then there's the like finesse that comes from soft skills. And I feel like that's the same in interviewing. Interviewing seems like an art. Like, I'm going to ask this question, I'm going to ask that question. But when you break it down, it is pretty scientific. Like, you've got to ask everyone the same questions to get to the root of like what you're looking for. And if you don't ask the right questions in an interview, you're probably not going to get the right information to make an informed decision. But there is that art part to it. Like that saying of, at least for sales reps, like, could I spend 4 hours in an airport waiting room with this person, or would they drive me up the wall, or are they like socially awkward? And if you can say like, yeah, I could see myself having dinner with this person, that's like the soft skill gut feeling, in my opinion. But you can't just go off that. You've got to dig into, does this person have those hard skills to be good too?
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like I think in a previous job where I was training sales reps, one thing I learned. So I always thought there was, I think the stat is like 3% of people in the world make good sales reps based on all of the soft hard skills that they have, life experience, drive, all of those things. There's 3%. So the chance of you finding that diamond in the rough is going to be difficult, or for you as a sales rep to be that diamond in the rough is going to be difficult. And I was always under the assumption that there's the type A personality. These are the people that do well in sales. What I soon realized is there's lots of people who came through where personality wise didn't fit that mold, went on to have wonderful sales careers, right? And I think the learning from that is that in reality, every single person that you talk to has done extremely well in life to some extent, right? You've got things that make you who you are. And I think a lot of the best sales reps are the ones that are able to leverage what they do extremely well, and not just focus on the things that they need focus on, or they need help, or we need to get some more polish here, because that's what then takes them up and elevates them, right? So naturally everyone has something that works for them, and the folks who can identify that and knows what works for them do well. Because the other part is, it's not just you, it's everyone else that you talk to, right? You've got to mesh with everyone. And unfortunately, it's not like I mesh with everyone. I try as hard as I can to mesh with everyone, but there's some people or some personalities that I don't mesh well with, right? It's no different from anyone that you hire. There's going to be lots of people that I may not mesh well with, they mesh extremely well with. It's their personality types, it's all of that, right? And so understanding that, and then breaking that down further, it's like, what do these reps have that maybe is the X factor? What do they bring to the table that allows them to be the overachieving, the extremely successful sales reps? When judging the book by its cover, you wouldn't think so, but then what is that, right? And I think there's a lot of the X factor type questions that I would ask to try and uncover what I think, and some of those revolve around trajectory and where the skill set lies today, what I see in that person, and what they could be bringing to the table 3 years from now, to benefit the company, right? Yeah.
So okay, everyone has that like an X factor that helps them uniquely. Like one of your top sales reps is the top sales rep because of some nuance, or like something they bring from a personality perspective or a soft skill. But in an interview, like when you are trying to fill a role on your sales team, what's a must-have quality, or what's something that you feel is at the like heart of a very successful sales rep?
Yeah, there's the one thing, and it's tough to identify, is kind of like passion. I look at it this way, and um, I'll preface like a simple question, which is kind of simple, right? Which I'm sure in every interview someone asks, like, "Hey, Reva, give me a quick elevator pitch on what Vidyard does. If I'm a customer, how am I going to benefit from Vidyard?" Um, you could answer, right? It could be decent. That I would notice the structure on how you positioned it. Did you kind of tell me a story to bring me into this, this world that Vidyard would be? Um, you could give me all of the technical aspects of Vidyard, how it could help, um, which is great. There's no right or wrong answer. What I'm looking for in there is, one, if you can't really do it, you probably didn't put the time in to research it, which kind of leads me to believe that this may just be a job for you and not something that you really want, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, or depending on how you deliver it, I could feel the passion. It may not be technically sound, but you've given it, right? And that's the piece where it's like, I want people, and I think everyone, you want people who want to be there, right? And the more people you have that all want to be there and all want to be successful and all want to see each other succeed is a recipe to have a great culture, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's one thing that's overlooked is passion, because it's difficult to uncover a passion. Nobody wakes up in the morning and says like, gosh, do I ever love video and sales, or man, if only I could sell, a lead generation tool that allowed me to track viewers. Like, when I was, 17 in high school, thinking of like, where is my life going to go? It's not like that. That was what I was thinking, right? So it's, you've got to have a passion for, one, sales in general, because I mean, we're talking again, hiring, and it's in sales, is there's got to be that hunger. We talked a little bit about, in the Michael Jordan documentary, he makes a comment. Again, it's just like small comment, but he said like, all of the great players are never satisfied. They could win their fifth championship, but that's not good enough. They want their sixth championship.
Yeah.
How do you uncover that within an hour interview? Very difficult, right? And so, it's asking questions to give me some kind of insight. Do you have that? Because if you have that, I can coach the rest. If you've got that natural drive and you want to be there, um, we we're going to be successful together.
Yeah, there's this song lyric, if we're gonna trade lyrics, I'm gonna read it off the screen, but it says, "It's gonna cost you to be great. You will have to sacrifice something to be great." And I think that's so true from the reps I've seen that are good. And I think even Kanye West, not a huge Kanye West fan, but I think he talks about this, where the people who are super successful, you don't see the work they've put into it. Like there is like really hard days, long nights, there's a lot of failure, and everyone wants to be famous or wants to be rich. But it's the people, and maybe that's the 3% that are really good sales reps, who actually is going to make sacrifices. And like, if you don't understand the product, are you taking that on your own and like learning it? If you are not doing good at discovery calls, are you listening to like 20 calls of the top rep on your team and like taking notes and breaking it down? Or are you just like hoping the next one goes well and getting on 5 minutes before, and you haven't even looked up the company name, you don't know what they do? Like, so it's like the reps who, everyone wants to make a million bucks, but like who's actually has that passion, the discipline, the internal motivation? Like you said, no one wakes up and says like, oh, I'm psyched about video and selling. I think Michael Litt would be pretty upset.
Well, and just if he's listening to this, just like, I'm talking about 18-year-old Jimmy, right? Like, it's
Right,
not, no one wakes up and says, that is what I want to do with my life, and that is the
right.
product I want to do it with.
But I think if you like peel it back, what maybe you are passionate about is helping someone be like, and this doesn't have to be every sales rep's passion, but you need something that drives you. So maybe it's making sure your family has a comfortable life and that you can afford anything you want for your family and go on trips, whatever that is. Or maybe it's like a genuine desire to help people. And so for your prospect, you want to help them be promoted, be in the lights, like do well at their job, or you want to see their company succeed and like know that you had a part in that. But you need something that like every day when it's hard or when it's great, you're still so psyched and motivated to do the work to be successful.
Yeah. No, it's all of that, right? That's why, like, we could try and pick apart hiring and then what we look for in people. I think, it really boils down to those basics, like are they motivated? Do they have the passion to want to do it, right? The funny thing about sales, and I've talked about this with a couple reps as well. It never ends, right? We're under a different type of pressure. The pressure of where it's the first of a month, the pressure of the first of the month doesn't necessarily change from the last day of the month, because that's in the past. We are now looking in the future, right? And I think that's the folks who enjoy that type of stress. It's a different stress, but that is the motivation. You always have a sense of urgency to keep going and keep going and keep going. And so I think that's, again, something that's you've got to look for within sales reps, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think the one thing here we're talking about, like, sales reps in general. Primarily, that's who I would hire. That's who I've interviewed. That's who I would have interviewed with. All of those things, right? I think the other piece, when we look at the trajectory side of it, again, those overperformers, right, are natural leaders, whether they want to believe it or not. It's the leading by example piece.
Mm-hmm.
But what that does is it pulls everyone up. You're continuously pulling everyone up, and you're elevating everyone, right? And so when you've identified those folks who do over attain, and they get the process, it's making sure that they're well aware, right, that they are a leader, whether they want to admit it or not, and
Yeah.
others look up to them. And so, that's the other piece when you would look at the trajectory side of the house, is like, is this someone I can see people following? Because, they're well put together, they're polished, they're thoughtful, they've got empathy, they're real, right? This isn't just the scripted interview answers. Like, open up to me. Like, I want to connect, right? So.
Yeah, because you're going to be working with these people so much, right? Like you can't have someone on your team where it's painful to have one-on-ones, or like they don't mesh with your team, and it's tough to find someone who fits that bill. But you have to like remember you're going to be spending a lot of time with this person. So
Of course.
yeah, my dog just walked in.
Were there any other questions? I think this one's a super interesting one, and in the future it'd probably be great to bring in some other folks to kind of talk through their hiring process, what they've looked for, things that have gone really well, things that don't. Because, I mean, remember, at the end of the day, like, nobody is right 100% of the time, right? Uh, and it's not necessarily just you as the hiring manager. Maybe for the individual, the role just wasn't the role for them. The product wasn't the product for them. Again, it boils down, if they're not motivated by it, no one really wins, right? And so that's why it's
I would say
so this is a super interesting topic.
like going back to that hire fast, fire fast controversial post on LinkedIn, I think on the fire fast side, I would say that sometimes like the reason I would agree with that, I won't agree with that for a cop out to you've got to have good training and good resources to make that person successful too. Like you both have a part to play in the success of an employee. But like you said, if it's like totally wasn't what it was cracked out to be, they got in and they realized like this is not their calling, the fire fast is just helpful for both parties involved. Like you have to call it if you see it. And often when you do that, you'll get the feedback from the employee that like, you know what, I appreciate this. This isn't what I thought it was. And I appreciate like you just ending it for us both and not making it painful.
It could be hire fast, quit fast is kind of the opposite one, where it's like, but I'm not saying it's happened to either of us, but there's been lots of friends that I've had who have got sold on a job. You get into the role. This is not what we discussed, right? So it works on both sides. I think, at the end of the day, you treat people like people, and I think it boils down to it's the brand, it's your own personal brand, it's the company's brand. We want to have a great experience with everyone. If they're not a right fit for the role, I can provide you with feedback on why I think that's the case. If you are, we love to have you as part of the family. And the other piece to that is there's oftentimes things will change where it's like, maybe I see something in someone where I want to be able to allocate time to build some more fundamentals around it. A change has happened. I can't allocate that time, right? And so now that that's a disservice to that individual, because now someone's either got to take over or they're kind of a sitting duck, right? And so there's so many different variables that happen, and things happen so rapidly. It's tough to try and peel that quote apart to see what the context is and that type of thing. But
for sure.
Yeah. Anyway, I mean, that seemed to fly.
How timely is this that you have to get going because you have an interview?
I do, and I am jacked up about it. I'm gonna bring the passion. BTP, bring the passion. Noted that one. But basically the best thing. Oh shoot, I gotta go. So
bye.
Hopefully that works. Yeah, we'll talk soon.
Okay, bye.
Bye.